Joe Mazzulla, the madman, painting all over the practice floor, showing odd love to Jayson Tatum. And hey, how about a Baylor Schierman update? It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster Brand, it's holiday season. Drop Drew in the mix, and 3 from KP. No, we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Juice, still Beantown's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in Locked On after. Karalis on the breakdown, clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rain and J's, how we started, raising business, how we finish. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. Right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. I got you covered every Monday through Friday. Bonus podcasts when they play anytime during the week. So make sure you are subscribed. Watch a show on YouTube. Get into that comment section. Let me know what you're thinking. Are you new to the show? Do you not know who I am? Well, I'm John Karalis. I've been covering the Celtics team for about 20 years now. Doing it for Boston Sports Journal as a beat writer. I'm also an author of 2 books. The latest one, Built Different, celebrating Banner 18, by signed, personalized on johnkaralis.com. $30 free shipping anywhere in the U.S. So please head on over, pick up that book. Today's show brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We're going to get into the practice court, which is all marked up, all kinds of crazy. Lots of Joe Mazzulla madness, him and Jayson Tatum. Later on, we'll get a Baylor Schierman update. We're going to do it all with our buddy Tom Westerholm. How you feeling, Tom, now that we're seeing practice updates?
Practice updates. Yeah, I mean, it's good to know that Joe Mazzulla has calmed down, that winning a championship chilled him out, that everything's everything's normal now. Everything we can all stop with. He's just a guy.
He's just a guy. Just a guy. I'm not going to say he's unhinged, but I'm going to say that the hinges are starting to get a little loose.
No, I think the hinges are just in a place that you wouldn't expect. Like, well, that's the way the door opens. Okay. All right.
He is fully this is the best. He's enjoying this. I can tell he's enjoying this because he's really, the first 2 days of practice, he has challenged these guys. First of all, they ran so much in day one that Drew Holiday said, I missed the first day of camp last year, and I kind of wish I missed day one this year. Like, that's how much they ran. If Drew Holiday, one of the hardest workers in the room, is saying, like, boy, I wish I didn't have to run as much as I did yesterday, that means they ran a lot. He's pushing them. He's getting them to do weird things. Jay King had the details on The Athletic about them putting bubbles, like capping the hoop. So they ran their practice. They shot. No one was making any shots. Everything missed because it bounced off the capped rim, and you could only score off of rebounds and other things. And then you look at the floor. You walk in there, Tom. I walked in on the first day. I'm like, oh, there's some weird markings on the floor. I walked in there day 2, and I'm like, there are more. What is this arrow doing here on the floor? Where's this going? And I asked Joe about it, and he's like, I can't tell you. I'll tell you someday, but not today. So yeah. Joe is in all his glory right now.
Yeah, I really enjoy this stuff because, I mean, it reminds me of I'm blanking on the name of the movie, but the one where the guy writes all the reminders to himself all over his body. He's got all the tattoos of like reminding himself like he's lost his memory, and he's got tattoos of like these are the things I need to remember. I like to imagine like the Celtics practice court just looking like that guy's body, just
something like that.
Yeah.
I compared it to the opening sequence of Saved by the Bell, which is an old reference right up my alley.
Yeah,
where it was just a bunch of like
on me.
Yeah. Is you? I don't know even know if you were born when Saved by the Bell started. In fact, let's look it up. Let's just look it up right now. Saved by the Bell first season was in 1989. How old were you in December 16th, 1989?
I was not a year yet. I was born though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you were born.
I was
Okay.
born. Yeah,
So you
I'm
were
not a young, but I'm yeah.
young enough. Young enough. So for people in my age bracket, those of us who have to keep scrolling down when it asks your age and it's got the little brackets, I'm like, it's like Wheel of Fortune, and you just like, okay, no, there you go. There's my age. Yeah, the opening sequence of Save the Bell had like different colors and squiggles and all this crazy stuff, and yeah, that's what the Celtics floor looks like. So
One of my favorite Joe Mazzulla anecdotes of the young season so far. I think this was The Athletic, and if it wasn't, I'm very sorry to the person who had it. But he's in the Missoula's in the facility, like working out, getting a sweat up. Yeah, and Porzingis is there, and he asks Porzingis like, "How hard do you think training camp should be?" And Porzingis is like medium hard, and Missoula's like, "F no, it should be so hard." Tried, sorry, Drew. Like, Porzingis really he did his best, but you were doomed for
yeah.
on that one.
No, like walkthroughs, basically walkthroughs.
Yeah,
Joe's
save
like,
their legs a little.
no,
F
we're
no.
running 2 marathons. We're running like a suicide. Just way all the way up and then all the way back.
Yeah.
That's Joe is Joe's. Mm-hmm. He would do it too. Remember when it's like somebody was talking about like running a marathon, and I forget what the player who the player was like. Yeah, no, maybe it might have been Al or somebody's like, yeah, I couldn't do like more than a few miles. And Joe was like, I would just run till I died. Like
And the thing with Joe is it's like, yeah, I believe you. Like,
he might.
it's like, yeah, don't let Joe run a marathon. Like, I don't think I think he would just kind of keep going. I mean, I think there is like it's interesting to kind of view all these like quotes and stuff coming off of a long season, right? Where some of the guys also had like Olympic stuff in the off season too. Like it's like there's generally a method to Joe's madness, right? Like but it is interesting to kind of hear like, yeah, no, he's not like, oh yeah, you guys like we're gonna kind of ease our way into the season. It's just like, nope, I don't care. Don't care about the Olympics. Don't care about that championship. You guys are don't care that you played until June. You're running until your legs fall off.
That's it. Well, he's very I don't want to say worried, but Joe is concerned that the championship's going to soften his team,
Yeah.
right? And he is concerned that they will fall into the trappings of, hey champ, how you doing, champ? And you're like, oh, that's right, I'm champ, man. You can walk, you can't tell me nothing. Like he doesn't want that. Like you've got to be hungry.
Yeah.
And he's everything that he has said in the offseason has been about, I've got to find a way to get these guys into that headspace. Like Holiday talks about it. It's very mental. He says that's where most of the game can be won. Concentration, doing things while you're tired, playing without passing, playing without scoring. How do you win the mental game? I feel like is the biggest part. If you're tired physically or mentally, he's just throwing everything at us. This is what Joe, when he says we have to start from scratch, Joe Mazzulla said, we have to start from scratch. That is it. We're going to get these guys as tired as possible and then say, go do this complicated thing and push them to think like, yeah, it's day one and you expect to come in and ease into it. Like, no, go run like mad and now do this very hard thing. And if you can't do it, that's on you. You've got to make sure you know how to do it when you're tired, because game 7 of the finals is going to be when you need to do this.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because it's kind of like, you know how like if you're there's like the I think theory, but I think proven theory that like if you're feeling down and you force yourself to smile, eventually smiling you'll trick your brain into thinking you're happy. It's kind of like that, right? Where it's like you know what, these guys, yeah, I'm doing it right now, listening to me talk. These guys, are they, like understandably kind of satiated, right? They won the title. They did it. They did the thing that they've been working toward. And like, it's kind of interesting, Joe coming in. It's almost kind of like that, where it's like, okay, but I'm going to push you like you're the hungriest person on the planet, right? Like that you've never won a championship, and that we're starting all over. And it's almost like, yeah, trick yourself into being hungry, into being like the same level of intensity that you were last year, because you're gonna need it all over again. Like it didn't get easier in the off season. Like, it's it's again, as always, he usually makes sense. It's just you got to look at it a little bit longer than some of the other coaches.
Joe might not take the route that we all take to get to where we're going. GPS tells you to take a left and a right. Joe is going backwards, right, then left, or whatever it is. He's going to find his own way, and maybe like just on purpose, because he just doesn't want to do what everybody else is doing. That's Joe is just going to do Joe stuff, and that applies to him and Jayson Tatum. And we'll get into that in just a second. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And now you can get a big return, NFL fans, this season here on FanDuel, because if you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can open up that app. You can check the latest stats. You can check the latest play-by-play and get a lot more information in the same place where you place your bets. So you don't need to have like 3 devices open. So you can have, it's all right there for you. You watch the game, something comes up, you're like, there we go. I'm going to check it. Maybe you bet on it. And that's, it helps you out a lot. Place $5 anywhere on FanDuel. You're going to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. So it doesn't matter if you win or lose that $5 bet. Hopefully you win it, but you don't have to get that $200 in bonus bets. So go check it out. Maybe you want to play. I just watched the Patriots line, and the Patriots are 10-point underdogs against the 49ers. Yeah, that's how it goes. That's the type of season it's going to be. Which way are you going to put your $5? Whichever way you put it, 200 in bonus bets at FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. Make sure you are setting your limits, setting your budget, so you can go ahead and have some fun and gamble responsibly. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA streaming. It's 24/7 there. No, it's not 24/7. That's the other show. Locked On NBA is it's going to be 7 days a week soon. It's 5 days a week, covering the league, covering all the big games. So when the season starts, it's going to be all week long. So go check that out wherever you get your podcast. Make it your second listen. Let's get back to this discussion here with Joe Mazzulla here. With Tom Westerholm talking about Joe Mazzulla. Or maybe you can just do your Joe Mazzulla impression. But I don't even know what your Joe Mazzulla
impression is. I can't. I'll just contrarian everything. That's the closest I can go.
Nobody cares. It doesn't matter.
Nobody cares.
He dropped an "it doesn't matter" today at practice. When asked,
he dropped a "who cares" too, right?
It was the "who cares." No, you're right.
Yeah.
It was the "who cares." That's what I was thinking of. Is the "who cares" when it comes to poor Abby was just asking like, "Oh, what's the challenge of going to Abu Dhabi? It's going to be a little bit different." And he's like, "Who cares? Doesn't matter. We're just going to go do this." And we're like,
it's
wow,
it's
man.
Bad journalism. I do think that with Missoula, there might be something to the idea of like talk about, because like you can try to phrase your questions but like what if you just tried, hey, talk about Abu Dhabi? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like I understand. Like, yes, who cares? You're right. Can you just talk about it so that I can use it? Like, yeah.
Joe, I need a quote, please. I just need a quote.
Yeah.
Sorry, you got to work hard. He makes everybody work hard to get to where they're going. And then there's his relationship with Jayson Tatum, which is by all means very good. Jayson has said multiple times that he loves Joe Mazzulla. And he said on Media Day, which is one of the best quotes, he goes, "Joe was probably the happiest person in the world that I didn't win finals MVP and I didn't play in 2 games in the Olympics. That was odd, but if you know Joe, it makes sense." And we all got a laugh out of it. And Joe's like, he's 100% right. That's his quote. He's 100% right. But he's also said, That's just the way that I love him. It's a relationship we have, and I appreciate that he accepts my perspective and the way we go about talking about it. I don't think we've seen the best of him because of how much he works and how he's willing to grow. Blah, 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 blah. Um, it doesn't mean he shouldn't be pissed off about it. I don't want to take away from how that may affect him in real time because I wasn't there. But as his coach and as somebody that really cares about him, I just thought it was great because it gives him something to work toward for the rest of his career. So once again, Joe maybe doesn't at first blush, you're like, what? But he gets to where he needs to go.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this one was a little bit more straightforward, right? Because it's just like if you know that what Joe Mazzulla likes is to kind of light a fire under his guys' butts, right? Like Joe Mazzulla's seen, like, oh yeah, Tatum's got reason to to be upset this season. Like, so yeah, like I am not surprised that Joe Mazzulla was excited by these things. Also, I'm not surprised because it is the contrarian stance to take, right?
Sure.
Oh man, are you disappointed for Jayson that he didn't play in the Olympics? I'm glad about it, actually. Yeah, shocked that that's what Joe Mazzulla thought. Also though, a little interesting, just because you knew that Jayson Tatum wanted to be Finals MVP, right? And you knew that he wanted to play in the Olympics. It's interesting the way that guys kind of tacitly admit things sometimes, right? Like you had to kind of take this roundabout way to Tatum putting it on Missoula that Missoula is glad that Tatum's upset about it is Tatum admitting that he's upset about it in a weird sort of circular way. I always think that stuff's kind of interesting too. But yeah, I mean, like Joe being glad about this, like, of course he is. Like, his team won the championship and he gets to have his star player, motivated and and look, working to fix things, right? You think Joe Mazzulla was happy that Tatum missed all his threes in the Olympics? Because I bet he was. Because here comes Tatum with like a reworked 3-pointer that looks smoother, looks quicker, right? The shot looks better. So yeah, I bet he was ecstatic that all this stuff happened.
It's Joe, and I understand this because I've always been a big believer, and the way I phrase it is sometimes the best thing that that happens is the worst thing that could happen, and sometimes the worst thing that happens is the best thing that could happen. So he's, I've believed that for a long time. Joe is kind of in that same mindset where, okay, personally, as an example, in 2010, my first wife left. We separated and got divorced in January. And in July, I got fired from my job at WBZ. 2010 is probably, you would look at it and be like, that's the worst year anybody could have. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? This is actually an opportunity because I was free. I don't have any kids. So I was like, I'm free to do whatever I want. And at that point, I was in my late 30s. I moved to New York. I ended up getting a really good job. I ended up doing on-air work in television in New York, the #1 market. And that helped springboard me into this job. I wouldn't be here if I didn't do that. So sometimes the worst stuff can be the best stuff if you open yourself up to what it's telling you. Yeah. What do you get out of it? And that's what Joe is doing with Jayson here. It's, this is stuff that you wanted and you didn't get it. But look at what it's giving you. It's giving you this thing that it's a real great, perfectly timed reminder that, hey, 26-year-old who's worked like this and who might feel like you've accomplished everything now, you didn't do a damn thing because of all of this other stuff. You can see the championship is nice, but once you get past it, nobody cares.
Yeah.
They will do what they're going to do, and you still have to work for that next thing because life goes on and you got to keep working, and that's an opportunity.
Again, a therapy Celtics, right? It's this sort of less about good and bad and more about accepting how things are. And it's like, okay, so you're a champion. Is that like, and that's great. Is that your final goal was to be a one-time champion who didn't win finals MVP? Because if so, then great, you did it. But like, you have all this potential to be an all-time great, in the NBA, to be an all-time great as part of this organization that is one of the genuine, cornerstone foundational pieces of the NBA. That is like you could be a huge part of the history of the most historic franchise in the NBA. And like, that's at your fingertips. And like, it kind of like accepting that is that like, but to do, to make all that happen, you have to do more. You have to do it again. And kind of, to get that, it kind of forces you to accept how things are, where you were not the MVP. So what are you going to do about that? You did not play in the Olympics because all these other guys got minutes over you and you were just a bit player in all this. What are you going to do about that? You missed all your threes. What are you going to do about that? Like, it's just kind of this interesting, like, you just kind of have to accept how things are and then proceed accordingly. Which, for Jayson Tatum, that's a pretty good path.
I think ultimately it's the biggest strength for Missoula is it's not even the basketball stuff, which he's obviously very good at, but it's the mental stuff. This is it. The game is played by human beings who are exceptionally talented at this particular thing. You're still human beings, and your upbringing and life experiences and all that stuff makes everybody process things differently and all of that. And he just wants these guys to look at things like human beings and not like superstar basketball players. And it's really, I feel like these lessons apply to everybody. Like you listening at home or in the car, wherever you are listening, like this is the same thing applies to you. That's the beauty of what Joe is doing and saying. Like, this same mentality applies to all of us. Like, the best thing, you can hit the lottery and like that's great, except, well, now you've got all these people knocking down your door, and a lot of people who hit the lottery, their lives don't end up going so great. Like that, it's the best thing that happened was the worst thing that happened. You got to be prepared for both sides. It's a really amazing approach. I'm sorry, I just can't help but say it that way. It's so few people think the way he does, but I think it's the right way to think, especially with these guys, because it keeps you grounded and focused on reality. And a lot of these guys, there's no reality in their spheres. It's very easy to lose touch with reality in the NBA or any pro sport. You got a lot of money, you got a lot of people telling you you're the best. You can lose touch with the reality in a heartbeat. And Joe does a great job of keeping them in touch with it. I think that's his superpower. Baylor Schierman is finding that out. We'll get into a quick rookie update. How's Baylor Schierman doing? That is next. Today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's also the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. You can watch the winnings roll in. You got one more week to take advantage of Caleb Williams' passing yards. You just need one to win on Prize Picks. They've been doing it all September, so you get basically a free win. So don't miss the deal on Prize Picks here, because it's done when September ends. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as few as 4 correct picks. And with their flex play, you can cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Download Prize Picks today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA. You'll get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's LOCKEDONNBA. That's the promo code on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to get that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. They really want you to get money. So download Prize Picks. Prize Picks, run your game. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out my book, Built Different, celebrating the Banner 18. Available right now on johnkaralis.com. Personalized, signed copies, $30 within the United States. If you are outside of the United States, I would suggest finding the book somewhere and then ordering a label, a signed, personalized label, which you can stick on your book. If you already bought the book somewhere after the championship, $10, you get a personalized signed 4x6 that you can stick inside the book and have your signed copy that way. So go check it out, johnkaralis.com. All right, let's get back to this conversation here. Tom Westerholm, Baylor Schierman spoke to the media, his first meeting with the media in person, because he spoke via Zoom over the summer. My biggest thing from him is the directive by the team to remake his body, where they told him more lean muscle, lose some of the fat, literally what he said. He said, quote, "I changed my diet." Shout out to Steve in the kitchen. Shout out Steve in the Celtics practice facility kitchen, helping me figure out things. It's nice to have the kitchen here. Some things I'm able to take advantage of while I'm in the facility, able to eat 2 or 3 meals here a day, then also taking creatine, and I'm trying to shed off some of that fat. So remaking his body, trying to become leaner, meaner, get his defense on, and a little bit of Q&A with Sam Hauser, trying to pick Sam Hauser's brain. All the right things from Baylor Schierman. I don't know what he's going to be in his rookie year. I expect it mostly to be in Maine and garbage time in Boston, but he's trying to figure out how to get his shot off quicker. He's trying to figure out how to get stronger, and by virtue of remaking his body quicker and stronger on the court. So nice little update about the rookie.
Totally, yeah, and there's pathways, right, for him to be like not like a rotation guy or anything like that, but like there's pathways to him, like a couple injuries here and there, and like to him getting minutes here and there. I think that, and I think that's why you tell him, first year, okay, get to work on your body, because like this is gonna feel different. Like the first time somebody runs into you, it's gonna feel a lot different than it did, and you got to be ready for that. It's gonna hurt. And he's a little older too, so there's some of that. But I think, I think he's
Drew Holiday running down the floor and being like, "Let me post the rookie up and see what he's got."
Yeah.
Imagine Drew Holiday, as strong as he is, just coming down and barreling down, digging that shoulder into your sternum. That's going to be like an oof moment.
Followed by him being more talented than anybody you played against last year.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, not only are they stronger and faster, they're also better. So like, this is going to be a lot. But he could, but the truth is, right, like he can do the thing that can get you on the court, which is shoot. Like that is a thing that like will get you onto NBA floors, especially if you can play a little bit of defense. So like, if that's what you're, and then, obviously that's a big thing. That was kind of one of the other things he talked about too, right?
Yeah.
This is what Baylor Schierman needs to do. This is how he could get on the floor. Maybe, I don't know. I'm with you. I think he spends most of the year in Maine, but like, I don't know. Like, why not? Prepare yourself. Like, if Hauser's injured and the rotation breaks down somehow, maybe you have to hop on a flight from Portland, Maine to Detroit, sometime in the middle of the year, and you get actual minutes. Like, that's not out of the question for a guy with his skill set. So it'll be interesting.
Wow. Poor Pistons, man. They just keep catching strays all over the place. Jaylen Brown, singled out the Pistons. We're like, if we're playing Detroit, we'll just let, Peyton Pritchard drop 30. We're still going to win. You're out here. Just the poor Pistons, man. What have they ever done, man?
Nothing recently. Sorry, I don't know.
I will say that the Joe Mazzulla saying like this is earliest possible returns, but the day 1 to day 2, Joe Mazzulla's quote, most important thing is, can you play defense? Can you execute a defensive system? And can you rebound? And he got better at that from day 1. So day 1 to day 2, like day 1 is like the shock to the system.
Yes.
Oh my God. I'm at Celtics training camp.
Drew Holiday just posted me up. That's Yeah.
Right. I'm running. I want to puke because I've been running so much. And then we're in a scrimmage where I can't even hit shots because there's a cap on the rim. And Drew Holiday just elbowed me right in the solar plexus and I can't breathe. So that's a welcome to the NBA moment for
Yeah.
Baylor Schierman. But day 2, like, okay, I get you. I got it, guys. Thank you. Now I'm going to come in and play a little bit of defense, maybe grab a rebound or two.
Yeah.
And you just got to keep getting better every day. But, his whole thing is it's not even this season. It's spending this season learning the lessons you need to learn, getting ready, getting used to the speed, taking those shots from. I'm just assuming Drew Holiday elbowed him in the gut. I'm going to guess because it's the one thing I wouldn't want happening to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's what worse thing could happen on facing the starters against, the Celtics. Like, yeah, you got to guard Jayson. All right, maybe you get embarrassed. Jaylen embarrass you, but a Holiday post up with the elbow and the little tricks that he's got. There's a little
I think that is the
injury to
worst.
the insult.
Yeah, I mean, the only other option from the starters would be like getting dunked on by Jaylen, right? Like,
Yeah,
but like,
LeBron gets dunked on, but like that
yeah,
doesn't, like, everybody does. Like, if Jalen's got a head of steam, doesn't matter who's in his way. But getting targeted by the strongest, well, Jaylen is jacked.
yeah.
Jaylen came back like, seriously, he's like the abs are just like protruding from his body. Like, what did you do? But I still think Drew is like the sneaky strongest guy they got, and I just wouldn't want to get hit by him. I don't even know what point I was making with Schierman, other than I guess it's next year is the year. This year is less and less and less, and next year would be the year to.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what he can do besides shoot too, because like that's obviously going to be the thing that's a lot is made of. He's like a shooty white, obviously, but he also like he was a good passer. Like he can.
He was a great passer in summer league. He
and like that wasn't an accident. That was a thing that's been a part of his game for years. Like he's an interesting prospect. Like I'm. Like more so than just like a Duncan Robinson, like it's not. There's some stuff there. I mean, and then look, Duncan Robinson was running pick and rolls for the Heat recently, right? So like, I don't know, but yeah, like he's an interesting player. I'm curious to see what else he can do. I think this year, obviously, you're talking about main, and when you're not, you're talking about play any defense you can and shoot threes. But down the line, there's some juice there.
Sure. All right, we'll see. Celtics practice on Friday and then on Sunday. So I'll record the next podcast on Sunday and give an update then. We'll see what happens between now and then. Tom, thank you for hopping on. Appreciate you.
Who cares?
As always, who cares, Tom Westerholm? Nobody cares. Nobody cares about this podcast. Nobody cares about all of this stuff. Well, I care. I care because it's kind of my job. So I would love it if you subscribe. I would love it if you cared about the podcast enough to subscribe. Watch the show on YouTube, get into that comment section. And if you are so inclined, share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.